Good morning, everybody. Everybody got their rise and grind set. Today we're doing a little Hollowform. I just had some coffee, so hopefully that will start to make its way into my nervous system pretty soon. There we go. Ah, beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So first things first, we're getting this thing round. I have an idea of the shape that I'm going to go for today. I don't have it like fully fleshed out necessarily, but it's an idea already. There we go, spindle gouge, rough and gouge, we're in good shape. Oh, and of course, anti-fatigue mat. I'm starting to consider that a pretty essential piece of wood turning kit. All right, here we go. All right, that looks pretty well round, huh? Beautiful. Now, I'm going to start establishing the shape a little bit. And let's see, is this on 6? Yeah, this needs to be on 2, I believe. Give me one sec. There we go. Beautiful. Also, let me know if the audio sounds a little bit better today. I switched over to a brand new mic. So let me know in the chat, A, can you hear me? I literally bought a brand new mic for this, so let me know if you can hear me in the chat. All right, I have an idea for this shape. Just try to get everything balanced really quickly so that I can stop dealing with this vibration. All right, well, the tools are working at least. Yeah, for real, let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Just, if you can give me like a "we can hear you," that would be amazing. If not, I'm gonna pull the plug on this mic. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Lovely. Alrighty. So, what I'm going to do here is I am going to use a chuck today in this process. Yeah, we're going to get it down right around there. Cool. Yeah, so I just want to establish how big I need that chucking point to be really fast, and then I can start to kind of build out the rest of the shape. Let's see if we're in the zone. Close. Don't want to overshoot here. Just a little bit more. Cool. All right, yeah, we're gonna call that plenty. Close enough. I guess I should be wearing my smock for this, right? I think I have to go into work in this shirt later. Isn't this thing beautiful? I love that they just make it like brown, you know? Like, they know exactly who their target market is. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're a wood turner. You're a guy, it doesn't matter. All right. I don't want to go all the way through just yet, but I want to figure out like about how much room I'm going to be left with. Let's see. Switch to my bowl gouge. Do I want to be a little bit more aggressive with the shoulder? It's not quite a third, is it? I'm okay with the size of them. Well, the mouth could be a little bit smaller too, maybe. I know that I'm going to want to taper the base pretty aggressively, so if I keep the shoulder wide, what does the base look like? Yeah, we can keep a little bit more volume in it. Okay. I think I get it. Let's take a little bit more out of the base here. See if we can rearrange a little bit here, get a little bit closer. I'm also going to try to up my speed a bit because I'm getting some vibration down here. So sometimes just changing the speed is the best thing that you can do. You know, you start to develop a harmonic, you know, whatever the diameter of the wood is versus however fast it's spinning. So sometimes the best thing to do is literally just change the speed. It doesn't even have to be a ton. Yeah, we're getting pretty close here. All right. Do I own a shorter tool rest? I must, right? This thing's just kind of getting a little bit clunky, a little bit in the way. We will be back to it soon enough, I'm sure. Oh boy. Yeah, I forgot. I lost the spring in the end of this thing. So this thing has become an enormous pain. So I have to buy a new assembly, probably from, I don't know, I think McMaster-Carr is probably the right spot. All right, so let's do some really quick refinement here. I think that anything else beyond that can reasonably be sanded in. It's actually a pretty good surface already. How about maybe like, I don't know, there's like less than 0.5 millimeter on this ridge. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to tempt fate. Especially not right before work, you know? Nothing worse than blowing up a piece and that's all you remember from your session. Hello everybody, how are we doing this morning? Hope you're all having a wonderful day. I guess I can only say that it's morning here, right? All right, so next thing I'm gonna swap. I'm gonna put this in a chuck so that I can start the actual hollowing process. Oh, boy. Also, sorry if my voice is a little bit shot. I was recording a video last night. It's going to be about how artists can use AI for business purposes, right? Not letting the AI design your art, but letting your AI do, you know, email query responses and marketing copy and, you know, some of the boring stuff that isn't art that you're expected to do, especially if you're a solo artist. So that's the video I was working on, and I wanted it to look really expensive. You know, I wanted it to look like a nice video, like I have multiple cameras. But here's the secret: I only have one camera, so I shot it in its entirety 4 different times for 4 different camera angles, and my voice is absolutely toast. It's like the lowest budget way that I could think to do it, just one camera. And then, yeah, I'm just staring at the teleprompter, which is mounted somewhere. It's all pretty silly when you really think about how video production goes. I did once have a guy say that it was, he was laughing at me a little bit because he was thinking about, you know, all the angle changes that I have to make one of my videos and how that must look silly while turning. And A, he's not wrong at all. But I did say that he was going to be really disappointed when he found out that Oppenheimer took multiple takes, you know? Like when you actually think about how a movie is made and how many takes and how many versions and all that sort of stuff, it all starts to look a little bit silly. I just imagine somebody like having to cry 3 or 4 different times in a movie scene. It's all kind of funny. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. How are we doing? Hey, do me a huge favor. If you're here from the Shorts feed, hit that subscribe button so we get another chance to hang out sometime. So I'm just gonna flatten this. I think I'm gonna keep the mouth the same size. I actually kind of like where this shape is right now. And then I'm gonna drill down a little bit and then we're gonna hollow. Cool. And then I don't remember what drill bit I have in my Jacob's chuck. I kind of do and don't hope that it's the big one, you know what I mean? Oh no, this one's reasonable. Okay, cool. I have a really big one that I can use to remove a lot of material pretty quickly. But yeah, if you whiff on the depth, you're in trouble. So we'll go like that. Actually, should we just call it the end of the flute there? Yeah, I think that's the move. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna be aggressive on the bottom of this one, I think. I really do want to get it pretty thin if possible. I'm gonna sandblast it later, and I think I'm actually okay if some light comes through. By the way, if you've never seen the work of Pascal Oudet, I think I'm saying his name correctly. Pascal, P-A-S-C-A-L, Oudet, O-U-D-E-T. He does incredible work, specifically with oak. He makes Hollowforms and bowls and stuff while the oak is green, and then he allows it to move, and then he sandblasts it on both sides, and it becomes like a lattice work. It's almost completely see-through. It's really, really cool. All right, so let's take the speedway down. There we go. All right, and then all right, and right about there, I think. Alrighty, so we have our shape, we have our depth, and now I'm going to raise this just a hair because when I'm cutting with my hollowing tool, I want to be cutting on a decline, right? I want to have negative rake angle. If I'm sitting flat or if I drop like this, it wants to self-feed and that's when I get a catch. So I think that I've left enough material on the bottom. We should be able to do this without ripping the piece off. Face shield is going back on. And then I do wear a glove with my hollowing rig, but it's never the hand that's going to be close to the piece. So I think that's a big safety tip. It's just that my hollowing apparatus is this brace, and so I like the extra grip here, but I never get this hand near the piece. So I think that's kind of a key safety bit there. You know what I just remembered I'm allowed to do? I'm gonna bring this entire thing way closer to me because I can stand on the end over here because my headstock moves. And if the headstock moves, why wouldn't we use that, you know? Okay. There we go. See, this is one of the benefits of being a taller guy is that I can like reach right across the lathe bed here. So there we go. Nice. This should save my back. Nice. Okay, let me bring my compressor around. This is the fun part, right? That's the best part about turning a Hollowform, I think. Alrighty. Yeah, we're doing well. So we're just gonna bore out this central channel here. So all I'm trying to do now is make room for my curved tool. That's all. Also, so with the curved tool, I can't put the curved part on the tool rest, so I have to back the entire tool rest off, which means that my projection, right, my length that I'm hanging over, the amount of lever that I'm giving the wood to act on, increases really significantly. So while I can get this tool super close, while I can get the straight tool super close, I like to remove as much bulk as I can safely. Because I can also run the lathe about 3 times faster than I can with the curved tool. So I'm just trying to make myself some space in here. Let's see. Yeah, we're looking okay. So basically every time I feel it start to bog down, it's because I have too many chips in here. Woo! And we're starting to make some progress. All right. Yeah, we're in decent shape. I'm gonna remove a little bit more. Well, yeah, I can go a bit deeper here and get away with it. And then I gotta switch to the curve tool, which means slowing it all the way down. Yeah, if you saw those shavings stop right there on the entrance, that's how you know that it's getting a little bit packed in there. And this is not a design decision, but it does matter. If you do a really narrow mouth, you have to stop more frequently. Like, it's not just the size of a Hollowform that makes a difference. The size of the mouth is a huge bottleneck in the process. So worth considering. If you need to get something done in a certain amount of time, the mouth makes a huge difference. Okay. So now I think we can switch to the curve tool. A big thing to remember also is that once this thing starts getting thin, I can't rest up against this, so I have to kind of like keep clear of it perpetually. I'm actually going to buy myself a little bit more space on the inside right here. Sorry, I got to move y'all back just a second. Get out of the way of my elbow. Or my Elmo, as my 2-year-old would call it. Okay, that should be a little bit more room. That should help me out quite a bit. Also, apologies in advance for whenever that compressor turns on. If it makes you feel better, it scares me too. I really startled myself with it last night. We're getting far enough from the center that I really do have to slow this thing down. I'm tempting fate in a pretty major way at the moment. All right, so I'm going to switch from the straight tool to a curved tool so I can start getting at the inside a little bit. And the very fancy mechanism I use for this is a wrench on these Carter & Son screws. Alrighty. Alrighty, so how close can it be? All right, that's about it, I would argue. And then I could turn this. So I like to rotate this so I get a slightly negative rake angle going both ways. Like I'm dropping it this way and I'm turning it so the cutter is operating at a negative rake like that. Makes it a lot less aggressive. So here I'm just going to try to clean up this little inside portion. I'm going to actually move this over just a hair. There we go. And once you start doing the actual curved tool hollowing, always with the face shield. This is when things come off. take a quick peek. Okay, yeah, we can still take quite a bit of thickness out of that. So I'm going to swing around and swing closer. Yeah, there we go. Let me tighten this back up. Okay, doing pretty well there. There we are. You know, I have to say, I love this Laguna lathe. The one thing that I really wish that I could do is move this control box over here so that I don't have to reach over the spinning piece. I may have to look into something aftermarket for that, just from like a pure safety perspective. Okay, we're doing pretty well here. A little bit thick in the shoulder still. So yeah, I can afford to move that up just a hair. Alright, let's drop the speed. That's getting pretty aggressive. It's getting pretty noisy. I think the walls are starting to flex just a hair here. Okay, we're actually in pretty good shape on this, this shoulder already. Let's see. A little bit more right in the shoulder here, just a hair. Feels better in the shoulder. Nice. Okay. And so we're good to about here, I would say. And then, yeah, there's substantial thickness in there. So I'm going to switch back to the straight tool, get as much of that as I can. And then I think I'm going to scrape. Alrighty. And I like the straight tool for this because the curved tool is tough to cut with anyway, just like overall. But then when you start pushing directly into end grain, it's really not made for that. You're putting a lot of leverage at awkward angles, and you get vibrations, you get kicks, you get catches. It can just be kind of a mess generally. So I'm going to take full advantage here. Actually, let me try to feel a little bit. So that's about where we start. Yeah, so we're like here on the piece. So I don't have to do a ton. I don't want to overdo it for sure. But yeah, a little bit more material to remove here. Take a quick little gander. So that was good material removal. Even though it's slow, that's the way to go. Nice and safe. All right. We're getting right down to the bottom there. We're not quite at depth, but we're pretty close. So okay, just a touch more down at the bottom, and then we're going to start to scrape, I think. We're really close on this. All right. You know, once upon a time I had some big, fancy pinchers that would let me see how deep I was getting over here. Anyhow. Let's see. Yeah, that's in pretty good shape. Okay, I'm going to scrape the inside now. And then I'm gonna move the cutter a little bit here. Hopefully this is the right size. Yeah, there we go. We're just gonna go nice and slow. Take it all nice and easy. Just kind of walk this one into the finish line. Here we go. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Change the angle a bit. Change the depth. There we go. Yeah, I think that is feeling pretty great. So let's give it a blast. Here, let's see. Oh yeah, pretty hollow all the way down. Nice. Okay, so pretty much all that's left is sanding and parting, which should be easy enough. Ave Christus Rex. First of all, great name. Second of all, yeah, this is mostly going to be decorative. You could put an insert in here, but I find that most of my customers don't, so I don't tend to worry about it too hard. All right, so I'm going to try to get a little bit deeper in here with the parting tool and with the spindle gouge. Get this thing ready for final parting, and then we're going to sand a little bit. Maybe a little bit more speed there, huh? Boy. This is the problem that I often run into. I should really give myself bigger gaps down here, but I try to maximize the piece, and then I wind up in these like super tight situations. So now I need to back this off a bit. Jeez. Ooh, jeez. So I think my really clever move here is switch to an even smaller spindle gouge so that I can slide it on in. Where'd I put my little guy? There we go. See, teeny tiny little guy will let me get into the bottom. Alrighty. Yep, and then we're gonna sand, and then we're gonna part. And I think that should be that. Beautiful. Alrighty. Let the compressor go. Let's see. Alrighty. And now the final task, parting. What's the line? Parting is such sweet sorrow. Not in this case. I'm ready for this guy to be gone. Let's see. Which parting tool do I want to use? I guess the narrow one's okay. I like to mix it up every so often. Alrighty. I think this is one of my nicer ones recently. I'm gonna try really hard not to mess it up in the final stage here. All right, so let's see. How close can I get that? Maybe slightly too close, huh? There we go. Yeah, not quite. Did it without blowing it up. How about that? It's really light. I think I actually got this wall thickness just about correct. Small nub right there. Easy enough, right? Nice. Kind of cute, huh? There you go. So now, what I usually like to do is I like to take some photos of it so that I can post them later. Hello, everybody. Hey, do me a huge favor. If you're here from the Shorts feed, hit that subscribe button so we can hang out again sometime. Here we go. So I take some photos. Here, let's bring the light down so that it knows what it's looking at. And then we turn it so we can look at the grain again. Beautiful. One more just for giggles. I think that knot right there is going to wind up being the star of the show. I think it's cool. Nice. Beautiful. Well, do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button if you like wood turning content or craft content or just thinking about the craft. If you miss your own shop, you're welcome in mine any day of the week. Thanks very much for being here. I'll see you on the next one.